is another episode of Beachside Banter with B. I'm B here with Elizabeth Vallejo, and I am so excited to get started. Hopefully I said her name right. I'm really bad with that. Everybody knows. We are talking about the Anchor property today, which is in the Rosario Islands. And gosh, it's a really cool story. So let's go ahead. Introduce yourself, Elizabeth. Tell everybody like how the Anchor came about, and let's get started.
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you. So I am a life coach. I've been a life coach for about 6 years now. And I come from a family that we've always kind of been in hospitality. I used to own a food truck and have a catering company. I did events. And my brother is a chef who was trained in Europe. He lived there for about 22 years, had a restaurant. And we had always talked about doing something in wellness, but not taking the luxury out of it. So, we do realize that there is a space for people who like crisp white sheets and plush,
Yes.
Robes in their bathrooms, but also like to sit around in cacao ceremonies and talk about their feelings. So what we did is that we decided to bring people to our country. So my brother was born in Colombia. I'm first generation born in the States, but we were both raised in the exterior. So what our goal was to bring people to Colombia and show them the beauty of Colombia and also be able to offer them something like wellness. So we started in the Rosario Islands, in Cartagena, Colombia, because we found the perfect property. We're also very conscious about how the property is being run for the ecosystem. And our dream is to basically have retreats that we do in every region of Colombia. Colombia is a really beautiful country where we have the Amazon, we have mountains, we have valleys, we have coffee fields. We just happened to start in Cartagena and we're really excited about it. So he's the chef on the property. I manage the property, but in about 3 weeks, I will be doing my own retreat. I host one international retreat there a year, and it is a life coaching retreat. Half of the clients coming are actually my clients, and then the other half are people that are interested. And it was really exciting because this is my second one where it's just me doing it internationally, and I actually sold out immediately and didn't really have to. Yeah, and we have people coming back. Yeah, we have like repeat offenders coming back that have already been to our retreats. And we have one guest who was gifted this by somebody who's already been to one of our retreats. So we're really excited.
Life-changing. That's awesome.
Definitely
I love that. So what do you really like? What do these retreats look like? So do you, I know it's a lot of yoga, a lot of like talking and that sort of thing, but tell me all about them.
So basically we created this space for facilitators like me to host their own retreats. When I used to host retreats in the States, it was very, very expensive. And the thought of hosting retreats outside of the country just seemed very intimidating. So the reason we're able to do this at such a high luxury level is because of the difference with the coin, right? So the Colombian peso is a lot cheaper than the American peso. The American dollar. So all of our retreats are different. We basically provide a space for the facilitator to come. They bring their own clients and they kind of create their schedule. What is the same is that we provide everything. So we pick up their group at the airport. We also handle all of the flights. So we handle all of the logistics, which I always find is really scary. Most of the people in the wellness space, they're not into logistics. They don't want to deal with all that. And I like to joke and say that it's my trauma response where I'm just super hyper independent, but I also have plan A, B, C, and D. So I have a solution for everything. So we pick them up in a beautiful Mercedes Sprinter van, and your group is always just with its group. Then we go to a private boat. Then we go to the property and we handle all the food. And we also help them to make their retreat around our excursions. So for instance, we do a really beautiful sunset cruise. We've done that cruise with champagne and music. We've also done a silent one, and we've also done a meditation one where we release our emotions. We release things we want to let go of, and we kind of just ride back with meditation music. We also offer massage in front of the ocean, live music. We have a really beautiful trip where we go to a private beach. It's in Colombia. All of the beaches are public. sorry, it's a public beach. You just got to know how to get to them. So it's
Right.
basically like a speck of land. We're usually the only ones there. And again, that could be a party, or in my case, we do meditation, a letting go ceremony, and a little bit of movement and grounding exercises when we're in the beach. So you can
Okay.
revolve these retreats around anything you want. We also do trips to Cartagena. Cartagena is one of the most famous ports in South America, and they have a really beautiful old city, and we do a tour and we do some shopping, see some live stuff. So you can basically make these retreats and cater them to whatever it is that calling is in this world.
Wow. That sounds like a little slice of heaven. I'm not even going to lie to you. Yeah, I mean, I've had so much interest in going down into that region anyways. I think there's another island that is off the coast of Colombia, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but San Andreas? Dreas?
Oh, San Andres. Yeah.
They are,
Andres is beautiful.
I should have, okay, so a little bit about me. My dad is from Ecuador, so I should have that Hispanic way. You know, how I can't roll my R's. I don't have any, like, I don't know where it just totally skipped my generation or me in general. I'm not really sure. Anyway, so I've seen amazing things about that island. I've seen, there's a couple other little tinier islands, I think, that are around there. The Rosario Islands, I've looked at 100 different times, just in general. You know, because I like to pick like the smaller, littler ones and explore them.
Yeah.
The more unknown I feel like, the better. Just because I feel like I want to bring more people together, and being able to open their eyes to these little islands or beaches or, you know, just wherever, and bring in that culture is kind of like my goal. So I love that. So tell me about the food. I know your brother's a chef. What kind of food are you serving on these retreats?
So we're really, really proud of the menu that we've come up with, because our
Okay.
goal is to feed everybody. So of course I want to know everybody's dietary restrictions, but the way that my brother just naturally cooks as a chef, he's just naturally gluten and dairy free. So
Okay.
whether you are vegan or you have allergies, there's so much food and there's so much to pick from. We have had people leave and say, where they'll be like, I'm fully vegetarian now. And we're not pushing that agenda. We just kind of want to show you what it looks like to eat really, really fresh fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
The fishermen come right up to the dock. So it's kind of like, it's not farm to table. I think it's like more ocean to table. So he picks everything that's fresh. We also get a lot of people, even from South Florida. We do have a lot of guests from South Florida where they say, this is not what a mango tastes like in Miami. And we say, nope. So
I know that. Yeah.
mhm. So we try and use everything. And the beautiful part about Cartagena is it is summer all year long. So
Awesome.
it is summer all year long. We are getting mangoes, we're getting oranges, we're getting lemons, we're getting all the fruits and vegetables. So we try to keep us, pretty much a steady menu. But if the chef sees that this fish looks better today or these veggies, he will, switch it up. But we try and make food for everybody. What I don't think a lot of people really understand is when you're doing this work of, for example, my retreat, it's a life coaching retreat. So it's more of going inward. And when you're doing that stuff, you get really hungry, you get really dehydrated. And I've been to many retreats in my life. I just went to one in July. It was actually a 20-day retreat. And my biggest complaint is always the food. And I actually went to this retreat with my brother, and our biggest complaint was the food, because it's usually not enough. And, somebody could be vegan and they could be vegetarian. It does not mean that they are a chef. And even more that they're like qualified to cook for so many people. So that is something we get a lot from the facilitators, is like, what's the food like? What's this like? That was another thing that I struggled with too, is that when I would host retreats here in the States and I would have to hire a chef, that was like half of my budget.
Right.
But I was so into doing things right. So a lot of the times I would break even or not even. And I do remember the one time that I actually made money in the States on a retreat. It was a retreat I hosted in Vail, because I live in Colorado. I came home and I was so exhausted and I was so emotionally drained that I was like, this was not worth it. All the way from like the flights to the food, we are all about how do we take care of our facilitators and our guests so everybody's happy. We want you to have the best experience ever. We don't ever want anybody to maybe have issues with the facilitator, but we definitely don't want them to say anything about our staff or our food.
Right.
So we're very careful about that.
That's awesome. So basically, you're like a concierge as well. Like
Yes.
you're taking care of. Okay, so what happens if somebody were to come on and they do the retreat and they're like, I don't really want to participate in the events today. Can they go off on their own and do their own thing, or are they required to be in the retreat at all times?
So we do require the guests to stay on the retreat.
Okay.
It is 50 minutes from the city on
Oh, okay.
boat.
That's not bad.
So, and
Wait,
the way
on
that,
boat? That's a little different.
yeah, so you can go, this is a luxury experience. We want to give them the most
Right.
beautiful experience. So we always want them to come on the boat. But we have so many things going on. And where the island is, there isn't much to see. And it's
Oh, okay,
also,
gotcha.
we're very careful and we let our clients know this is a third world country. So we are kind of in a little bubble, and all the islands are kind of in a little bubble. Once they start to walk off, like, that's why we don't really do hikes. We don't really do like, oh, I'm going for a jog in the morning. Like, well, we can set up a gym for you.
Oh,
We
okay.
can
Yeah,
do
that
stuff
makes
like
sense.
that. But it's not like we're actually in the city where you can kind of walk off on your own. And we've never really had a problem with that because there's so much to do on the property and we have so many things lined up. But for instance, if you don't want to get a massage, you don't have to get a massage. You know what I mean?
Me.
If you don't want to you'd be surprised.
saying.
Some people do not like to be touched. I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
these
I mean,
people,
that's fair.
but
That's fair.
yeah. And, some people don't want to wake up at 7 a.m. to do yoga, and that's fine. But
Okay.
at my retreats, I like to offer all of the modalities because I think retreats are a really great place for people to start maybe their health journey, their spiritual journey, and to have different kinds of modalities going for them to go, well, I like this and I don't like this. As a life coach, what I have learned is that there is not one recipe that helps everybody. Not all people are the same. I don't have a course. I've never tried to sell a course because I don't think that works. It's a very individual kind of, and I take that approach when it comes to retreats. Let's show them everything we got. And if they just come home with one thing, I did my job.
That sounds very like I'm relaxed just thinking about going on one of these retreats. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh my God, we would love to have you.
I mean, that sounds amazing. Like dream come true. I'm not even kidding. So
You can do a live podcast from there.
even better. I had a friend who recently did a silent retreat out in Bali. And she said it was absolutely life-changing for her. Is that one of those kind of retreats that you would welcome, or have you guys hosted one of those before? Because I feel like that would be, for some reason, just staying silent for so long and taking all of that in and reflecting on everything inward, I feel like would be amazing. So I definitely be interested in something like that.
I think it's also because it makes you go inward, right? And then it kind of makes you have to hear the voice that we hear all day. And we've gotten so used to hearing that voice that we just think it's normal for her to be there. But when it's just you and her for days at a time, I have not been so lucky to host one of those. I was talking to a facilitator that wanted to do like little like increments of silent, or we will do like we're going to do a boat ride back in silence after we do our meditation or the sunset. But that does sound like something that I feel like we all need because we have so much noise constantly around us. I feel like that would be great. And Bali's an incredible place. Bali is definitely one of those that I can't wait to. I just actually had a client say to me, I got invited. She was coming to my retreat, which is in 3 weeks. And she booked it a year ago. And she said, I just got an opportunity to go to Bali. I said, go. I will sign you up for our next retreat. Please do not, if you have an opportunity, please go to Bali.
I hear that it's absolutely amazing. But she said that, so I guess they were more inland. So they weren't really like on the beach or anything like that. But she said they did a lot of like jungle and those type of activities. And it was just absolutely, she's like, I learned so much about myself. I became like a whole entire different human being. She's like, I learned so much. I know who I am as a person. I'm able to relate to other things in a better light. And it's just, she's like to totally just changed her perspective on life. So I've had that, retreats in general on my list for things to do. But I feel like a silent retreat would be really challenging, but also like, I don't know.
Not recommend it as I wouldn't recommend it as your first one.
Okay,
that's fair. That and I feel like for us, the way that we have been moving in this world is we've been really getting a lot of first-time retreaters. And I think it's a really great way to like introduce people to spirituality and wellness, depending on what it is, what facilitator's doing what. We've had facilitators where, it's both. It's like fitness, it's diet, and then we do some really deep circles. But I think it's like a really great way to start, because the one thing that I love about retreats is these are people that you're going to be connected to forever. It takes something like 200 hours of uninterrupted time to actually call somebody a friend, 400 hours to call somebody a best friend or a lover. And this speeds up that process. This gives you like very raw, intimate time with people that you would have never really met before. And these people end up becoming like lifelong friends. Some of those group chats go on for a long time. They support each other online. So I would recommend, if it's your first retreat, maybe not a silent retreat. I think that's a little bit more advanced. And also, and this is just my opinion, I feel like a silent retreat is when you've already started the work. So I like to call it self-parenting. When we start to realize all of these things that are going on, why are we doing these things? Then I would recommend being alone with your thoughts for 3 days.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So how would a facilitator, if they were interested, like if I decided I wanted to do like a life, love, and travel type retreat, how would I go about planning that with you?
So we have a discovery call. All of my prices for facilitators are given on discovery calls, because what we try to build on our website is for normal people to come on, and there's different retreats. So those prices aren't given on there. So we have a discovery call. We basically do a really beautiful presentation of everything that's included. And that includes like constant communication with me and the chef. We create reels for you. So we had a really great social media team and marketing team go out, because you're selling a retreat that's in a different country that you've never been to. So not only do we create reels for you, we provide all of the pictures, we provide testimonials. We're really proud of our testimonials. Our testimonials are from really influential people right now that are influencers. We had a really beautiful trip with just influencers where we took lifestyle, mom influencers, yoga, comedy. We even had comedians on there. And we wanted to see what would happen if we put all of these people. Would they come out of there changed? And they did. And it was great. So their testimonials mean a lot to us. And if you go on their page, you will see them at our retreat and vice versa. So we've kind of come up with this very well-rounded way for you to sell the retreat. We create a page for you on our website, a landing page where we take payment. We do all of the agreements, right? So let's say you have somebody that can't come a month before. Well, it's not fair for you as a facilitator to now fill a spot. So we do write all those contracts. So, people, and it's working with the facilitator. How long will you give them? We give 50% back. We're also fully insured. So we have insurance so that not just us as a company, but you as a facilitator, if God forbid, somebody thinks that you suggested they get a divorce, and then they get a divorce, and then they sue you because they got a divorce, you are covered.
Okay.
We also offer travel insurance. So it's usually the length of our retreat. It's about $100 to $150 and it covers $70,000 if you break an arm, if you get, and we're also very, very careful about our group always being in very secure transportation. We only deal with like really high-end transportation in Colombia. And so I kind of thought of it this way. If I was a single woman, because I have been for many years with a daughter who's 15, if me and my daughter were traveling, what would we need? Because we travel a lot by ourselves. Well, I'd want to feel safe. I'd want somebody to pick me up immediately. I would want to, I've had a kid, she's gotten sick in every country I've taken her to. And not having that insurance is exhausting. I just happen, like I said, one of my trauma responses is to just kind of think of everything that could go wrong, everything that you could need. And I just kind of found a career.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Honestly, like you literally described heaven to me, and now my brain is racing and all these, like, how can I get this going? How can I host a retreat? Because this happen at this point. So tell me about like the natural surroundings and stuff. Like I know a lot of times these retreats will require you, not necessarily require you, but like kind of bring you back to nature, so to speak. So how does that relate to most of the retreats that you host?
So the properties on this island, they're really incredible because the actual like islands, they don't have running water. So these properties have had to bring in their own running water. Every single drop that is brought on that property is bought. Why? Because, so you have to pay for every drop of water. So I like to tell my guests, this is your first exercise in mindfulness, because it doesn't matter how many signs you have up on the property. You're bringing Americans and you're telling them, turn on the water.
We're bad too. We really truly are. We're terrible.
Oh yeah. We're telling Americans, hey, can you turn the water, wet your body, turn it off, lather up, that, you know what I'm saying? And it's a constant thing that we have to be talking about. We also, there could be no toilet paper flush. That's something that they really don't like. So the good news about that is our staff is very highly trained. The bathrooms are cleaned twice a day. You're never going in your bathroom. And but we're also, it's a fine line where when you say you have a luxury property and they say, well, why don't you do laundry? We try and send out all of our laundry because the water is so expensive. I think the only thing that we do that's like disposable is when our clients are leaving, we leave them, we let them leave with little lunch boxes. So the chef will create a little lunch for them because the airport.
Gosh, I love it.
It's incredible. And it's usually like a very fancy sandwich. Because when you tell a chef, can you make a sandwich? He looks at you like I'm not doing peanut butter and jelly. We're making a sandwich. So he usually will pack them a sandwich, a fruit, a salad, and some sort of dessert. We like to do Colombian chocolate or something like that. And those are all like biodegradable, recyclable. Other than that, we don't have water bottles. We don't, just we would never do a paper plate. We would never do any of that. So I like to just be like, hey guys, so we're at a retreat. We're learning to be mindful. This is your first exercise, being mindful of the water and what we consume. And I've even had guests tell me that when they come back to the States, they're like, I didn't even realize I just let the faucet run.
Right. Or just wasting water up here because we take advantage of it. It comes natural to us. We have it. We've always had it. There's no reason why we wouldn't waste it. And so many other places in this world that are struggling and they can't get it or they don't have it. And it's one of the things that drives me crazy about us Americans. I'm not even going to lie.
And guess what?
That's the reason I started this show too. So
yeah, and I'm very American. Like the second I land at the airport and they say you can't flush toilet paper, I'm like, oh, here we go. But it's a really great way to learn discipline and kind of like be like, wait a minute, so I just go to the bathroom and I don't think about it. It's just another thing that I do. So having to be conscious doing that, yeah,
it brings a whole new perspective to what you have and a new appreciation as well for things that you have that you take for granted every single day. So I don't know. That's one of the things that I love most about traveling is that I have that ability to open my eyes a little bit. It brings me back down to earth. It grounds me, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
People are traveling. They're doing these retreats. They're seeking this mindfulness and all of that. What kind of advice would you have for them to kind of start out? How do you get them to kind of come together towards the beginning?
As much as I love luxury and I love nice things, I'm a little bit of a hippie and at heart. So I always think that these groups, it was in alignment for them to be together. And every group I have, even groups that I go to, I've been to retreats just personally that are terrible. And that's when I make the best connections because we're like, oh my God, we're in this together. We paid for it. What did we pay? And then, there's some of the friendships that it's like weekly basis still speaking and knowing about everybody's life. So what I would suggest if you are looking for a retreat is to look for the right one. So for instance, don't go to a retreat on nutrition if you eat McDonald's every day and you want to make a change in your life, but that's a little bit too radical, right? Because as a life coach, I like to set people up for success, not for failure. And I suggest people do that too. So right when we collect our, gather everybody and we're in the car, we tend to play some games. We have a really great question game. So it like to get to know everybody. There's a really great game I like to play after dinner on the first night where you have to introduce yourself, but you can't tell us what you do for a living. It's just not allowed.
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And people tend to get very emotional. My brother has this joke where he's like, yep, Elizabeth makes them cry on the first night.
Oh, no.
And yeah, my daughter thinks so too. Me and my daughter could be traveling in Brazil and I don't speak the language. And she's like, Mommy, you make the Uber driver cry. And you don't even speak proper. I think it's also something to do with being a healer. People kind of know that and they want to unload on you. Well, what's funny is a couple years ago, I was on a cruise. Yeah, it is. I was on a cruise with my boyfriend, and I'm very big on protecting my energy because as a
Right.
life coach, I see 20 clients a week, and then I go to these retreats and it's another 10. And sometimes I'll still have to see clients in between, depending on what we're doing. So I'm very big on protecting my energy. And a couple years ago, I went to a cruise with my partner, and he said, "You have not spoken to anybody or talked, like looked at anyone." And I go, "It's your birthday and it's all about you." And the moment I make eye contact with somebody or speak to them, it's it's going to open it up for them to tell us their life story. That's just how it goes. And of course, on the last day, I spoke to this woman at breakfast, and she told us when her husband died,
Oh,
why she was there. But at that point, I was ready. I was like, okay, we're
yeah.
getting off this boat. I can now open that protective bubble that I made. But yes, I'm very protective of my energy. But when I'm there, I am 100% dedicated to my clients and the guests. So I will get people that maybe pull me aside and start crying, and I'm very well equipped to handle that, even if sometimes the facilitator isn't. I like to be there for the facilitator as much as possible. And sometimes it's really hard to ask a facilitator to hold so much space all the time. What I do, and I made sure, is that the facilitators stay in the staff's quarters. So we separate them from their guests. And that's because we are a small property and we want you to sell every bed, but we don't want you to be sharing a room with your guests because they will not let you sleep. They will trauma dump on you. Even my room, it says employees only. The kitchen, same thing. We're very protective of the chef. He does not, it's a very American thing to go in the kitchen. Can I help you wash your dish? That, first of all, you're at a retreat. We don't want you to wash dishes, but now you're in the way of the staff and they don't know how to nicely tell you to get out.
That makes sense.
So I want to protect my staff's energy, my chef's energy, mine, our space, and still be able to give everybody. At the end of the day, this is an investment that people are making, and it's an expensive investment. We're actually also, what we're doing is we're collecting money now so that we can gift this to one person per retreat that normally wouldn't do it. What we're working with right now is BIPOC women, so women of color, Latinas, or Indigenous. For some reason, the universe has always kind of kept me in the feminine space. But what I found is that women in our community, even if they had the money, they would not gift this to themselves. So what we're doing is having them nominated. So you can nominate, let's say, your mom, your tia, your cousin.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, it has to be a woman that definitely has worked or is working, that is trying to further herself, her education. And we gift them everything from the flight, the entire retreat. We also give them gift cards before, because I'm sure you as a traveler know, we get our nails done, we get our hair done, we want a new outfit. Another beautiful thing that we have is that we have a partnership with Fabletics, which is a beautiful, activewear company, and they sponsor all of our retreats. So when you host a retreat with us, we also cover your goodie bags. So each guest gets a gift bag with a full outfit, and it's been really beautiful to see the whole group kind of dressed in the same, like to bring that to life for a facilitator, like, oh, this is my retreat. Everybody looks the same, and it's been really great.
That sounds amazing. You all have really thought of every single detail. Yeah, it's amazing. Wow, I'm super excited. I definitely want to pick your brain a little bit more about maybe hosting something for Life, Live, and Travel, because I think I've always kind of thought about that, and I've had this like women's wellness type of festival, so to speak, in my head since I first started it, and I think that it would be really cool if we could figure out a way to make that happen. So definitely,
and you would be perfect. You would be perfect because we would do live music. We could do a bonfire. We usually do like a white night that night, or you do a red night and have everyone dressed the same. Yeah, I think you would be great for this.
That sounds amazing. All right, everybody. Keep that in your heads when you're listening to this episode. You're going to make this happen.
Awesome. We're manifesting it.
Yes. Yes, I'm all about manifesting all the good things. So. I love this. So, Elizabeth, go ahead, plug where you're at. Let everybody know how they can find the Anchor and how they can get started on these journeys.
Awesome. So I think we'll link everything, but it's the website is theanchorretreatproperty.com.
Awesome.
On Instagram, I am Wellness Elizabeth Vallejo, And I believe the anchor is the anchor with 3 underscores, I think.
Got it.
It gets a little
Find
tricky.
it for sure.
We will link it all for everybody.
Yeah.
And if
So
you're
everybody can look at it.
interested, we constantly have retreats going on. So you can go on our website and see what retreats work for you.
Awesome.
And if maybe we could do something where if they heard this podcast, they can get a little bit of a discount. I would love to do that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Maybe we could throw in Life, Love, Travel or something like that.
Yeah.
When they book, they'll know.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So my final question for every episode, what does paradise mean to you?
I feel like it's so different for everyone. And there is, a space in my mind that I go to for my meditation. And it just so happens to be, me and my brother have an older sister who lives in Brazil, who is also in the retreat space and in the spiritual place. And for some reason, my paradise is her balcony when it rains, laying in a hammock. And there's something about the water and the trees. And I am a water sign. I am a Cancer, so I love all things water. So that's a little bit of what paradise is to me. I also think paradise is something we can take wherever we go. I like to say that, happiness and peace is something we take with us. It's not something we go to find. So as long as you're doing the work, once you do get to paradise, I think you could kind of absorb it a little bit more as opposed to thinking paradise is going to solve all of our problems.
I'm going to clap for that one. That was a fantastic answer. I absolutely love it. I agree. I think that happiness is something that we can control. And a lot of times we don't really take the steps that we need to in order to make ourselves happy. So I think that once you get to that point where you know what you need, what you can survive on, what all of that, I think that that's really when the internal peace comes. And that to me is paradise. Just being able to relax, turn my mind off, and not have to think about all of my worries and that sort of thing. I feel like is the ultimate. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, I appreciate you joining me today. This is a great conversation. I had a lot of fun. I am so stoked for one of these retreats, and we will definitely talk on the side and see if we can.
I'm stoked for your retreat. I'm already seeing it in my head. Me and you are going to talk, and then we're going to come back on to announce it, and it's going to be great.
Sounds great. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey there, beach lovers. That's it for today's episode of Beachside Banter with Bee. I sure hope you had as much fun as I did. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can catch me on all social media platforms at Life, Love, and Travel. And if you've got a question or you just want to stop by and say hi, feel free to slide into my DMs and I'll make sure to get those answered for you. Big thanks to everyone who joined me today and for all of you tuned in. And until next time, enjoy your week.